Uh, kind of give you our ideas, our thoughts. A lot of stuff has already come up over the last couple of weeks, but we're going to try to ask some real specific, pointed questions about the bubble, and let's see, what you think. We'd love to hear your thoughts. I will be joined by Gianni, a writer for LA PeachBasket. For those of you that don't know, we are a website dedicated to covering the Los Angeles Clippers and the Los Angeles Lakers, the two best basketball teams in the association, at least before the season stopped. We've had a lot of conversations about, what teams are going to be like when they get back. What's it going to look like? Are the Clippers and the Lakers still the Clippers and the Lakers? We won't know. We don't know. I have no clue. There's a lot of reasons to think that they won't be the players or the teams that we remember. But, there's some reasons to think they might be. We've been talking about that specifically over the last couple of weeks. Today, as I mentioned, we're going to focus just on the NBA bubble. Interestingly, we're really going to talk about this, but I'm going to kill a little bit of time waiting for Gianni to join me. The bubble is apparently the way Fauci, Dr. Fauci has said it should be, which is kind of interesting. It's neat as an NBA fan to know that the NBA is setting the standard for what the NFL should be following, or Major League Baseball, although it doesn't look like their season is going to start anytime soon. So it's kind of encouraging. But the more I unwrap, the bubble, the more I take a look at the rules, the more I take a look at kind of the process about it, the less excited I am for it. I got to be honest. I want basketball back as much as anybody, but I want it back the way I remember it, with fans and with high fives and with bedlam when somebody takes and makes the last shot. We're not going to have a lot of that. And I'm just not sure what it's going to look like. Do y'all remember when this whole pandemic started and we all got shut down? The NBA, I think it was the NBA, maybe it was Turner, I don't remember, but they wanted to do a horse tournament. And it sounded cool. It sounded like a neat idea. We all play horse. We could all kind of relate. But, when that idea turned into, when it was executed, it just it fell hard. It just wasn't fun to watch. It wasn't basketball. These guys were clanking shots. It just, I felt like I could have at least competed, with some of those NBA players at horse. And I'm afraid, I think the worst case scenario, well, obviously a lot of worse things could happen, but one of the worst case scenarios about this NBA bubble is that it's just not fun to watch. And that's going to be rough, because here we are, all of us NBA fans. There's 13 of you watching. Thank you. I imagine you're here because you're a fan of the NBA and you want to watch basketball. But I'm just not convinced that it's going to be the same level of basketball that we're used to. Well, we're already about 5 minutes into this. I don't like these things to go too long. So hopefully Gianni will join me, but I'm going to go ahead and jump right into the topic of conversation. And I'll give you my thoughts. Hopefully Gianni will join and give us his. First thing I wanted to share is every one of the 22 teams that have been invited to Orlando have been given a document. It's 100 plus pages long, full of rules and regulations and policy and processes and things you've got to do and things you can't do. It's pretty daunting. I want to highlight just a couple of them. I don't want to go into a lot of detail, but there are a lot of rules. You can't play doubles ping pong. You can't spit or clear your nose, which is actually the wording in the document during the game, which is a really weird way to say it. Gianni just joined. I'm going to go ahead and see if I can't invite him to join me now. Thank you again for all of you that are watching. So anyway, we got a lot of rules, and it really begs the question, is every one of them going to follow them? Now, the NBA obviously had this in mind too, because there are a ton of rules. I didn't even go through, half of them. It's a 100+ page document. But somebody's going to break a rule. Somebody's going to leave campus. Somebody's going to come back. Now, you're allowed to. You are allowed to leave the bubble. You're allowed to come back. But then you're in a 10-day quarantine, and you've got to test negative twice before you're allowed to come back. So there is a big reason, a lot of motivation to not break these rules. Gianni, welcome. How are you?
Good. How you doing?
Right on. I'm good. We're just getting started. What we were talking about is the rules, and I didn't rattle off a whole list of them because I don't want to bore anybody to death. But we know that there are a lot of rules, and the rules are there to keep the players safe, which, a lot of respect for that. And again, I mentioned Dr. Fauci said this is the way we should do it. So that's great. But the NBA understands that people are going to break these rules. Mm-hmm. So they set up an anonymous hotline. Now I'm calling it the snitch line. A lot of other people, I'm not the one calling it that. A lot of people calling it that. But that's kind of what it is. And first question I want to ask you, and I just kind of want to kick this around because a lot of people make fun of it. A lot of people called out who the first player is going to take advantage of that by snitching on a player, on an opponent. So I got to ask you, is that okay? I understand why the NBA set that up. I get it. There's a lot riding on this. You got to keep the players safe. But a snitch hotline? I mean, do you have a problem with that? And do you think it's possible it's going to get abused?
I mean, in the general sense, I don't condone snitching. But, right. I mean, if it's going to keep the league afloat, if by telling people, keeping it, calling somebody out, it's going to keep the league going because there's going to be – that person's going to leave the court and we're going to be able to play more games, then – I'm kind of for it because I'm getting less and less excited about the rules and everything because I can see it getting canceled quick as more positive tests come in. So if that can kind of curb the positive tests, then I'm kind of for it in this case. And for the player that's gonna abuse it, it's Chris Paul. We all know it's Chris Paul.
Right. That's the first and only. No, I shouldn't say only, but that's the first thing that came up, and it came up over and over again. Chris Paul is known to take every advantage afforded to him. It's what he does. He talks the right amount of trash. He'll give you the right amount of elbow. He'll do just the right amount of things to fly under the radar, to get advantage. And that's what vets do. And Chris Paul is a veteran. But man, I don't know, man. Should this happen and he does that, can you imagine the fallout? I just think it's a slippery slope. I don't know. But I'm with you. I agree. At the end of the day, it's positive. We want to keep the players safe, and we want to keep the games going. So it's going to happen. It is what it is. The other thing, it's not a rule, but it's a process. It's a decision the NBA made. There's 22 teams coming. The top 8 teams based on record are staying at the nicest hotel. And that was done essentially to give them, an advantage. They play great. These are the top 8 teams record wise. You get the luxury hotel. Now the other teams aren't staying in dumps. They're not staying at Motel 6s or anything. They're staying in nice places, but it's not as nice, right? As with the Lakers, the Clippers, the Bucks, the Raptors, the Celtics, the Nuggets, the Jazz, and the Heat get. So I got to ask you, I know you play ball. I know you're at the Y. I know you're competitive. I am all of those things as well. And when I go up against somebody and I know that they're staying at that luxury suite and again, I'm not at the Motel 6. I'm in a nice place, but it's not as nice as they got. That motivates me. That upsets me. Do you see, and this is what I think, a player like Damian Lillard, we talked a lot about Dame and the Portland Trail Blazers. They are in the lower tier. They're staying. I don't have the name of the place that they're staying at, but they're staying at kind of the least new hotel. Is that going to motivate Dame?
Yeah. I mean, I think they're always going to look for, especially Dame, underdog, small school guy. He's always looking for a way to, to have a chip on his shoulder, kind of like that
Right.
Jordan thing, always looking for a way to motivate himself. So that's just going to be another thing he's going to use to get motivated, I'm sure, players like that. But I mean, the NBA has to do it. They have to try to do home court in some way, right? So this is the equivalent of home hotel advantage. You get the nicer hotel. I mean, it's still an advantage for the teams who don't have to go and play on the road at Staples and stuff,
right,
to stay at a at a hotel that's a little less luxury. I think that they'll take that trade off for not having to go, to go play at a travel and play at a road stadium.
Absolutely. All right, let me ask you something, because I don't know if this is going to happen, but again, I'm putting on my Dame Lillard hat now, and I'm thinking like he's thinking it would absolutely be a chip on my shoulder. And when I shoot that three, to beat whatever team I beat, I'm not waving bye-bye. I'm saying, I want your hotel now because I beat you. I mean, does that make sense? If the Blazers, right? If the Blazers, let's say they take the 8th spot and they beat the Lakers, which I don't see happening, but it's possible. Don't the Blazers then move into the nice hotel?
Oh, that's actually a good point.
Right?
If a high seed gets eliminated, does the seed who beat them, can they take over their rooms? That'd be interesting. That'd be a little extra on the line to play for,
Can you imagine? Forget the money, forget the LOB. I want the nice. I want the suite. I want the nice hotel. I think there's so many funky things about this, and that's one of them. So I'm with you. Yeah, I think it's absolutely going to be a motivator. I don't think it'll be a big motivator, but it'll absolutely add, a chip on players' shoulders like Dame and others. All right. Next question is something that I read on Twitter. A former coach put out this thought, and it never dawned on me. I want to read it to you. He said, you get a large number of grown men that are frustrated and don't want to be in a certain place, and they're stuck there for a minimum of 7 weeks. I promise you things, he didn't say things, are going to happen, and it won't be a good look. I never thought of that, right? We've all been sequestered now with our family for months, and things have happened. You get frustrated with people when you're around them at the same time. And not only are you around them, but there's rules, there's regulations, that you can play golf, but you can't play with a caddy. We talked about no ping pong. We talked about you can't leave the bubble. There's rules, man. And it's going to be frustrating and kind of claustrophobic, I think. And these are, 22 teams, 17 players. That's 374 people, players only, plus coaches, plus staff. And they're all going to be sequestered, essentially. Is that vision? I don't know, man. Fights, drama. I can't help but think that would be a great reality TV show. Just putting cameras in the hallways of these locker rooms and on these golf courses, just to see what these guys are like. There's potential for an explosion. I mean, do you see it happening, or do you just think that's overblown?
I mean, it's definitely possible. I mean, I'm all for, more behind the scenes, like a Hard Knocks edition and this would be an interesting circumstance, But yeah, I mean, it's gonna be the ultimate experiment in a lot of different ways, right? To see how these guys handle it. We've all been locked down, so this is kind of just an extension of that.
Right.
For some of these people, it might be a welcome relief to get away from the people they've been quarantining with for a while, but then you're just quarantining with the new set of people with the new set of problems,
Right.
But I think it's an advantage for dudes who just like to stay in and like play video games and stuff. And for the dudes who like to go out and do more stuff, it's gonna be a little harder. But if you're like a dude who likes to just go and play like 2K and just chill at home, this is like it'd be an easier transition,
Dude, it's heaven. I mean, for that guy, it's heaven. You get to chill. You get to play 2K. You call for room service. I mean, it doesn't get any better.
Exactly.
So yeah, I think it's really more the extroverted guy. The guys that got to be around people. They got to talk. Because you're right. I mean, in one sense, you're out of this sequestered area. You're in another. It's with different people, different environment. So that's a win. But after 7 weeks' time, man, it's gonna be rough. I don't envision any kind of drama. At least that drama that you and I are gonna know about. But is stuff gonna happen that we don't know about? Probably.
Absolutely. And I mean, these guys are used to, during the season, they travel together. They're used to being in the locker room together, so this isn't a huge step from that. Right. But I mean, there will be the stuff that comes with being together for a longer period of time, kind of stuck in that you will see. But yeah, I mean, the reality show, the NBA, you're right, the NBA missed out there on a
absolutely. It could still happen. This is the kind of thing that I think TNT or ESPN should jump on. Man, I'd pay a little bit extra to see behind the scenes stuff. Sure. After the game, follow them into the tunnel. And then, one of the things that I read, I wasn't going to talk about this, but there are no showers in any of the arenas. So the players are going to play, and then they're going to, go to the locker room, I guess, talk about the game. And then after that, in their jerseys, full uniform, I assume, they're going to have to walk to the hotel and shower there. Just having somebody follow them there. What are they talking about, on that process as they encounter each other and bump into each other? That'd be fascinating. That'd be a lot of fun. And you're right. I think the NBA missed a shot, but hopefully ESPN or TNT fills that gap and hopefully give us the commission that we deserve for coming up with the idea.
Yeah, for sure.
The last question I had is one that I honestly feel uncomfortable even bringing up. You and I have talked about this a little bit. I think it's been a couple weeks now since you and I have done one of these. But this goes back to something Lou Williams said, Clippers sixth man. And again, I want to read it verbatim because I don't want to get it wrong. He recently said he wasn't sure if he was going to play, essentially. And this is why. He said, because it looks like we don't care. If we do suit up, and we're having conversations behind closed doors about not playing. He's saying players are talking about just not playing. The NBA has already said they will not penalize players. They're going to get their full salary. If they choose not to play, they cannot play. That's fine, which is great, I think, of the NBA. Lou Williams goes on to say, how much of this platform can we really use? Can we get Black Lives Matter patch on our jersey? Can our jersey say Black Lives Matter? Can the court say Black Lives Matter? So we can use that platform to the best of our abilities. Honestly, it's hard to call. I'm 50-50, to be honest with you. So, Clipper fans right there freaked out, and understandably so. The Clippers without Lou Williams, they're not the Clippers. Dwight Howard has talked about not playing. Dwight Howard without the Lakers aren't the Lakers. And I do think we're going to see at least a percentage of players are going to choose not to play. And so my question for you, and I ask it, understanding that you and I probably aren't the right guys, to even comment on this. But as fans, we want to see them play. But should this even be happening? Lou Williams went on to say, if more Black kids or Black adults or any adults that are dealing with police brutality are getting killed and we're still outraged, I don't know if it's in our best interest to suit up. You had mentioned a couple weeks ago that they could use this as a platform. Lou Williams said the same thing. So I love that, he's aligned with you, and you brought that up to me a couple weeks ago. Again, 100% unfair question, but just as a fan, I know we want to see the game, but should this even be happening? And if it does, certainly the NBA, well, let me ask in the form of a question. Should the NBA allow the players to make a stand, however they see fit to do that? What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I mean, 100%. So going back to what I said earlier, I mean, if any player doesn't want to play for whatever reason, like a health reason, or especially because because of social issues, and they feel that them playing takes away from them using their platform or them out in the streets protesting or whatever, like that's their prerogative, and they should not be forced to play, and they should be able to do what they feel is best, right? But like we like I said, this can also be used as a platform. I think they should definitely be able to say Black Lives Matter on their jersey, Black Lives Matter on the court. Like it's important for the NBA to let players speak their mind in a predominantly Black league, like with strong voices, to be able to use their platform. But I also think that it's possible to play NBA games and still have the protests and the social issues on your mind. You know, people are capable of knowing that there's injustice and fighting for injustice, and also being able to tune away and watch a basketball game as well, you know.
Yeah, Lou Williams also mentioned that, you know, when he talked about, you know, the good that it could do in terms of, you know, obviously using that platform to spread the message. But he also said we could be a part of the healing, right? So he sees that, right? But he just doesn't want to distract from the message. So what I think we'll end up seeing is a little bit of both, you know, and I think you nailed it, you know, on this platform 2 weeks ago. We're going to see a smattering of players not show up, and that's their prerogative. And I think it's great and more power to them. I'm certainly on board with them not playing, but those that do, I think, are going to take a stand, and it'll be I think it'll be a unified stance. I don't think it'll be the Lakers doing something and the Clippers doing something. Kind of like along the lines of what the NBA did when Kobe passed. They took 8-second violations. They took 24-second violations, and every team did it. I think we'll see something like that. You know, I think it'll be league wide. The NBA is going to not only allow it, but endorse it, encourage it. So it'll be something, you know, that helps us heal, but also kind of reminds us always, every game we watch, we'll be reminded, you know, that things aren't the same. And I think it has to be that way. I think it should be that way. And again, man, I give you full credit because you brought that up. I had never even considered, you know, that possibility. It's something that you said, and obviously Lou Williams heard you. So I think that's a win, man, for you. That's everything. We could go and talk about the 100 pages and all the other rules. There's a ton of them. If you're a basketball fan, I encourage you to look at them. There are some honestly ridiculous rules that will likely be broken. I think 100%. Right. I think the over-under on Chris Paul using that call is probably 3 days, give or take.
He's got it on speed dial already. He's already got it in his phone. He's ready to go.
Right. I think that'd be fun, and it'd be interesting to see if that's a bet you could place in Vegas. I wouldn't be surprised if it is. All right, lots to talk about. We're about 6 weeks away now, probably 5, give or take. We're going to do this every Saturday up until the playoffs start. Thanks to Gianni for joining me. We're at PeachBasket. We cover the Lakers. We cover the Clippers. And thank you to all of you that joined. Again, I'm still getting the hang of this thing, man. I'd love to call you out by name when I see you pop in, but I don't see everybody popping in. I just see the total. I'll figure this out over time, but I know a lot of you were joined, and a lot of you are still on with us. And thank you to each of you. Hopefully, as we get more accustomed to the platform, we'll bring more of you in. We'll ask, we want to hear your questions, and we want to take them. These are our thoughts. We'd love to hear from you. We're LA PeachBasket. We're the voice of the fan, and it's important for us to hear from you. So that's everything. Thanks, Gianni. We'll talk again next week.
Right on, Jose. Take it easy.
All right, y'all.